Why independence? Why was it so important for you and your team to make that transition?
We always kept client first. And we started to going down that path. The first thing we said is, how do we put the client at the center of this? And independence was the only way to go for us. Because always with independence, the client is the center of the relationship.
Working is the fastest transition to 10 billion plus in the history of the industry.
Why is it working so well?
Putting those two things together have been a force multiplier and accelerator for the things that we do.
Once consumers, once corporations, once individuals understand that they can get fiduciary-based, independent advice, that full, unabashed advocate who can sit on the same side of the table, why wouldn't everyone want this?
Good morning, gentlemen. Got an all-star lineup this morning. We've got Jeff Crowell, Kevin Higginbotham, both managing partners at OpenArc. Shirl Penney, founder and CEO of Dynasty Financial Partners. Lots to talk about this morning, and I'm excited to get into OpenArc, your transition to independence, what that means for not just the firm, but obviously for clients. I think first I want to congratulate you guys on all of the success. It's been well documented, but I think that, when you look at what you guys have been able to accomplish, particularly in the first half of this year, the last quarter of last year, I think it's just, it's remarkable. So I want to first just say congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So my first question to both of you is, and feel free, either one of you, to take this one. Why independence? Why was it so important for you and your team to make that transition? Again, not just for the firm and not just for the folks in the team, but most importantly for the clients.
Take this one first.
Well, we've always been at heart client first organization. We had a saying that was, client, team, firm, and it's always been our North Star. What's best for the client? They're always, that from a service perspective, from an outcome perspective, and independence is the way to do that. And so, partnering with great organizations that had a history of carrying that forward, and it's been incredibly exciting and fun to carry that forward, and that's that's our North Star.
We always had that saying, client, team, firm, and it didn't matter where we were in the spectrum of our organization. We always kept client first. And we started to going down that path. The first thing we said is, how do we put the client at the center of this? And independence was the only way to go for us, because always with independence, the client is the center of the relationship. So that was extremely important for us from the beginning.
Yeah, and Steve, I would just add to that, from the moment I met these guys and their broader team, the entire focus through the process was, how is this experience, how is this capability set going to be better for our clients? Then it was, how is it going to be better for our team in terms of the work environment and what we can build together? And then they talked a lot about the culture and where they wanted to take the firm in the future. So I can tell you firsthand, that's not just a slogan at OpenArc. They live it every day.
Yeah. Jeff, let me ask you this question. I think it's been well documented, the success that you guys have had right out of the gates. Why is it working so well?
I'm gonna start with the culture, the team that we have, and I'll just go back to the original question and putting the client first. I mean, when you're rowing in the same direction, you're service based, everything falls into place. Being able to provide solutions, but diligent manner for our clients, and supporting each other in the environment that we are. That's number one. Number two is just the partners that we work with, the institutional backing, the experience. Putting those two things together have been a force multiplier and accelerator for the things that we do. And watching the two things come together to be able to deliver for our clients and for each other.
Yeah. Kevin, I spent a good amount of time at OpenArc, got to visit with a lot of the advisors there, and it seems as if they're all highly educated and well-rounded in this move to independence. They've all embraced it in their client communication and how they're having those conversations. Let me ask you, from just a compare and contrast, how is the business set up today? Shirl always speaks to the triangulation of advice. How do you guys look at the business today as compared to, let's just say, a year ago, in terms of how you can approach clients, how everything from, let's call it product to service, everything. What does that look like today?
It looks 180 degrees different than where we were at our former employer. You look at the opportunities that our clients have that they have access to. It doesn't matter whether it's, from an equity standpoint, from a fixed income standpoint. We've been very lucky to partner with Dynasty on some of their own deals and co-invest that clients would never have access to, whether it's Anthropic, whether it's Noble, whether it's, SpaceX. We never had access to these type of investments. And as we bring those solutions, as we bring those opportunities to clients, they get excited because we didn't have those things at our former employer. And those are solutions that will actually help clients get to their goals and objectives.
Shirl, I'm going to circle that back around to you. I'd love to have your perspective. Why do you think this is working so well with OpenArc? And again, what differentiates independence from maybe the constraints that maybe these guys had a year ago?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. And I agree with obviously both what Jeff and Kevin said. But first, in terms of why it's working, it's the fastest transition to 10 billion plus in the history of the industry, right? So also echo what you said earlier. Congratulations. It speaks to the tenacity and the hard work and the talent of your team. And I would start there with the team, right? And I'm not just talking about the leadership team. I'm talking about everyone at OpenArc. It's remarkable. The level of buy-in and energy and camaraderie that your team has. It's really special. One of the things that I'll remember for the rest of my career, Steve, is every time a new team member would show up, everyone would run to the elevators and cheer and celebrate, right? A new person being part of this dream, right? This vision of OpenArc, which speaks to the culture, which I also think is part of your secret sauce, right? Is that it's one team, one dream. And the level of love, if I can use that word in a business context, and care for each other is very special. They're focused on community, right? Out of the gate, they launched with a foundation, right? The OpenArc Foundation, and they're so proud to support the community. And then obviously the leadership. And I'm very fortunate, Steve, to be able to sit on the board of OpenArc, and I see the level of preparation, thoughtfulness, the strategy, the vision of where this business and team wants to take it. All of those things, I think, have come together to lead to the level of success, remarkable success of the transition thus far. Also, as they said, I think the platform support matters. And a lot of people, and they were so diligent in terms of picking their partners, and I'm humbled that you guys would pick Dynasty. Dynasty is the leader in what we do in terms of providing the institutional level of capability and support of large-scale firms like OpenArc. We support them with our fortress balance sheet. They're incredibly well capitalized. We made sure of that out of the gate, and we're appreciative of that partnership. Our technology is very modern technology stack. They have access, as Kevin said, to a level of investment sophistication for their clients that really doesn't exist anywhere else in the industry. And then the partnership with Schwab. And they were so careful and diligent about where their clients' assets would safely be custody. And Schwab is the largest custodian in the country. And a lot of people don't realize they have over $11 trillion in assets, right? So that safety of assets, of having their clients, at Schwab, combined with the cultural aspects, the team, the support of Dynasty, I think all together is why this has been the most successful transition to independence in the history of the space.
Yeah, I mean, if you take that infrastructure and support and you put that together, if you're an individual advisor, so this is one of the things that's been incredibly exciting for me. If you're an individual advisor, the idea generation and the environment that you're in, that we see coming from the grassroots up, it's created an environment where I'm overwhelmed when you see ideas around how to engage clients differently, how to organize affinity groups to impact the community. That ties right into some of our charitable giving as well. Those ideas, we're in an environment where it fosters creativity and success on an individual by individual advisor level.
Yeah.
And so some of our best ideas are coming from our advisors, and they get up to the leader. So there's a really incredible balance between the infrastructure that we have and the support at an institutional level, but then creating an environment where you're getting grassroots idea generation up to the leadership level.
Yeah, and I think what you're finding is on the individual advisor standpoint, everyone wants to contribute.
Right.
That is when I look as a leader at the contributions that these younger folks are doing, and they're bringing the ideas into into action, I feel as if as I exit the business many years from now, I'm able to pass this off to them, and they're going to be able to run this 10 times better than we can.
And then in terms of the uniqueness of their model, they were very deliberate in the name of the company, OpenArc, right? Which, is really about the democratization of the ultra high net worth family office model and being able to deliver it to individuals at all wealth levels, as well as deliver that model to the corporate side. And what I mean by that, Steve, is the triangulation of advice, as we've talked about in the past, the ability to deliver advice completely separate from where assets are safely custodied, and separate again from where products are manufactured and sold across the industry. The clients of OpenArc now have a advocate, a fiduciary-based advisor sitting on the same side of the table with them. They can safely custody the assets wherever they like. Out of the gate, they've chosen Schwab, the largest custodian, as we discussed, and then they can go out and, as Kevin was saying, access all the product manufacturers across the industry, not just at their remarkable size and scale, but at Dynasty's, north of $130 billion of collective buying power. And that's really powerful. And then the incredible vision of Jeff and the team is to say, not just individuals want that, corporations want that model, right? They want to have advice from someone who sits on the same side table with them. Separately, they want to administer, right? Whether it's the stock plan, retirement plan, at a partner where they feel is best in class, and then have the ability to shop the street in terms of the implementation. So the incredible vision that they had to bring together the triangulated model for both individuals, the corporate executives, and the companies that they serve and support, and bring it all together in a truly independent, institutional quality type model. It's revolutionary in the space, and it's why I think people, whether it's a business school case study or it's clients on the corporate or individual side, I think they're going to be talking about what we have created here together with OpenArc for years to come.
Jeff, Shirl just mentioned something super important, I think, and that is sitting on the same side of the table. What has that meant to you? And I'll let you speak on behalf of all the advisors, everyone on the team. At this moment, when you now have the opportunity to sit down with a client, you guys have multiple facets of the business, but in all of those facets, right, at the core, you're now independent. You have that ability to not sell somebody a product, but to be an advocate for them and be on their team and sit on the same side of the bench. So what has that meant to you, and what has that meant to the team?
Well, it's meant everything because it's right. I appreciate Shirl, putting together the entire vision and talking how revolutionary we are, and I agree. At the same time, it started very simply. It was from listening to clients. It was from listening to employees. This is what they want. We just watched recently with some pretty large, high-profile IPOs. Employees organize themselves together to get exactly what we're talking about: family office, institutional priced service and support, because they weren't getting that necessarily from their benefit programs. So we listen to that, and we hear that, and we're putting that together in an institutional way that's available to everyone, from the CEO all the way down to the new hire, because that's what the market demands. So it feels right. It feels like we're on the right side of this, and it feels like we're meeting the demand that's out there as employees and individuals are more educated and then understanding what they need for financial outcomes, because that's the end of the day what we want to achieve.
What Shirl talks about is that triangulation of advice, right? Putting the client at the center of the relationship again. So that's extremely important for us. It's extremely important for OpenArc. And actually, for the advisor population, they're excited about that.
Yeah. And the huge advantage that the team has now, Steve, is they can be so intentional with what it is they're building, specific for their clients, whether they're on the corporate side or the individual side, or the beautiful connection between the two, where they're building not in an environment where there are 20,000 advisors and those firms have to build things that kind of work for the masses. They're able to wake up every day and say, what do we need to do today, leveraging modern technology, infrastructure, capability set, to build what we believe to be the best in class capability set for these executives in the company for today and the future. And it's just a huge advantage that they have, that they can be so intentional to build specific to the client set and their vision of client service in a completely independent way.
Jeff, I want to ask you one last question. We'll go around the table. We are about to celebrate 250 years of independence here as a country. And I'm curious how that sits and resonates with you as someone who has just made the leap to independence professionally. When I spent a day at OpenArc, wasn't much time, but it was a full day, I left with one feeling inside, and that was that this firm is maybe one of the only ones that I've ever been in that quite possibly has the potential to endure generations. It just gave me that feeling. I had I guess the feeling that you guys could go up against just about anyone and compete with some of the largest institutions in the country, but on an independent model. I'm curious what your thoughts are around the ability to endure many generations to come, whether it be younger advisors one day leading the firm, and what your thoughts are around that.
That's a great question. And it's an inspiring one too. I mean, I'll just start off with what we are doing. We're hiring. One of our, we talk about culture. We have, highly sophisticated advisors who have spent 30 plus years with our team. And we hire directly from college. And those advisors work alongside those experienced advisors. And they're learning and growing, and they work side by side, and we'll continue to build. Shirl mentioned, being intentional. And we have the freedom, and I want to use that word because I think it's important with respect to the 100 to 250 years of independence. We have the freedom to be intentional and to grow. And again, whether that's hiring or partnering or continuing to look for different areas to innovate, there's nothing we can't do where we are right now. That's the American dream. The entrepreneurial spirit that was really that was very visible. I think you see that in the architecture, you see that in the people, you see that in intentionality. The entrepreneurial spirit that we have that just permeates what we do just comes through. And so I have no doubt where we're going.
Thank you first for being a huge supporter and coming down as well. But Jeff talked about the entrepreneurial spirit, and you look at that from an independent standpoint. I look at this and say with 250 years independence, the firm will be able to endure, decades to come from our hiring practices, getting individuals into the door, as they intern with us, hiring them from an internship, cultivating, our culture, showing and partnering with these young folks and having them become advisors and lifelong partners with inside of OpenArc. You're going to have a career that can span 20, 30, 40 years as a career. And that's extremely important for us. And you've seen the culture, you've witnessed the culture, you've witnessed, what we can build and what we're building together as a collective group. So for us, that independent spirit and that entrepreneur spirit, that's what America was built on. And that's what we're building with OpenArc.
Yeah, Steve, I love the way you asked that question. There's few concepts that are more American than independence. And it's something that at Dynasty, we're so proud to champion, in the industry. It's independence, for the advisors, it's financial independence for the clients that they serve. And I think, we're off to an incredible start, but OpenArc, I believe, is going to be a household name within wealth management, corporate advisory. It's going to help define the model of the future. Because once consumers, once corporations, once individuals understand that they can get fiduciary-based independent advice, that full unabashed advocate who can sit on the same side of the table and then have institutional access to all of the product and service providers. What I hear all the time as I meet with clients of the firms that we support, the clients always say once they understand it, why wouldn't everyone want this, right? And the industry wasn't ready for it 10 years ago, but now with innovation, with technology, with the ecosystem, and leadership of a team like this to be able to pull it together in a cohesive way, it is. And I will tell you, Steve, what they have done is inspiring so many people. Certainly inspires me. but it's inspiring others to want to follow. And I think when you look back over the next decade plus, they're going to touch and change in a really profound and positive way a lot of lives, not just their team and their clients, which is incredible, but so many other advisors and their clients as well, because of the bravery that they had as pioneers, right? To use another American concept, to go and build this new model, which I think is going to have massive influence on how the industry is built into the future. So congratulations to you guys on the incredible success. Could not be more proud to be your partner. And I really appreciate you, Steve, for allowing us to have this conversation.
Yeah. Well, thank each of you for sitting down today and having it. It's been my pleasure to get to know a little bit more about what you guys are doing at OpenArc and obviously this transition process. But I will say this, you've got a fan in Investor Magazine. We are huge advocates of independent wealth management, and you guys sit at the core of that, as do you at Dynasty. So thank you guys for the time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.